enter a world where monsters have taken their place among cinematic history, but who are the real monsters? Are they the scaly creatures that haunt our nightmares? Or are they the person you see every day just casually walking down the street? What happens when man outweighs the monster on the screen and creep into our lives and dreams? With our co-hosts Joe Randazzo, Vicky Ray, and Keith Shago, they will uncover who are the real villains as we explore the classic cinema along with some modern greats and find the monster within us. Hello, welcome to Literature License Podcast, and it's M&M, Monsters and Madman Week. We'll be discussing two films, which will be Sinister from 2012, and We Are Still Here from 2015. And before we get started, let's find out who's with us. We got Vicky Ray with us. Hello, Vicky.
Hey, guys. What's up?
We got Joe Randazzo with us. Hello, Joe.
Hey, everyone.
And we have our silent partner, Ferris, with us today. And so
he's not so silent on the sidelines, but that's okay.
So before we get started, let's find out what we've been up to, starting with you, Joe. What have you been up to since last time we spoke to you?
Well, the testing at the high school has gone down, so I've had a little bit more free time this week. This was the last Wednesday was the last day that I was working at the high school, at least until about October. So I'm still a little tired. I'm still a little burned out, but it's going to get better when I'm back to only working one job. I was just on the Spoiler Room podcast that's going to be posting soon on iTunes. It's going to be the episode on Alfred Hitchcock's The Skin Game.
Make sure you post the link.
As soon as it goes up, I'll post it. I was actually just checking a minute ago. It's not up yet. So yeah, it's the beginning of the year. I decided I was going to go through as many Hitchcock movies as I can get my hands on, because I was like, you know what, I just want to see all of them. And Mark was covering The Skin Game as part of his podcast, so I thought, you know what, why not? I'll watch it and go on his.
I never heard of that one until I saw that. It's like, why haven't I heard of that?
Because it's not very good.
Oh, is it bad?
Yeah. I think I sent you my comments on it, which was
you did. I read them. I read all your stuff.
It's kind of.
I get a kick out of your.
I felt it was kind of dull, but yeah, if you want to hear Mark and I and someone called the horror retrospective, someone from that website joined us, and yeah, that'll go up soon. I don't know when. Probably by the time this goes up, it'll probably be up. Besides that, I don't really
watch anything good.
We'll be talking about a couple of them. Have I seen anything new? Oh, I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and
was it any good? I heard it was great.
It's very, very, very good.
Funny.
James Gunn is like our last hope for mainstream cinema, I think, because he manages to make these movies and actually make them kind of heartfelt, which has been
Guardians of the Galaxy, just a fun franchise, though. I don't care. I don't know anybody that hates it.
Because all three movies are really, really good,
and they're fun.
There's not a bad movie in the bunch, and great performances. Vocal and physical performances. Bradley Cooper in this as Rocket
Bradley
Raccoon.
Cooper's in it?
Bradley Cooper is the voice of Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, okay. You got me wondering. I didn't know that. No shit.
It's voice work. This is really Rocket's movie. If you've liked Rocket Raccoon, this is really the Rocket Raccoon movie. It goes into his origin and really, really good stuff, and it'll tug at your heartstrings.
Definitely. I'll definitely watch that then. So I like the other two. I love the other two, actually. So
I've had the Fabelmans sitting on my coffee table for weeks, but the 3-hour runtime kind of precludes me being able to watch it.
I haven't seen it yet either, but I'm told it's really worth the watch.
I will probably watch it next week, now that I'm not working both jobs anymore, so I'll have a little bit more time. Probably watch Fabelmans in the next couple days.
I'm waiting patiently for Indiana Jones to come out. But I heard the AI, you might as well not even use Harrison Ford, because the AI the fuck out of him.
Yeah, the reviews for that are not good. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, Yeah, you can't top Raiders. None of them can top Raiders or Temple of Doom. You just
I
can't.
love those first three, and then I did not. Sean rewatched the four of them, and I watched it. I've seen all of them, so I'd watched as much of them as I could, before having to go to bed and whatever. But the first three are still, to me, I think they're absolutely magnificent. And then the fourth one, it's
Fourth one was what? The Crystal Skull?
Yeah, the Crystal Skull.
That's where they started kind of losing me, was the Crystal Skull. But I mean, it was good, but it wasn't Raiders. You just can't top Raiders.
I found that I didn't hate it as much as I did when it first came out. But after watching the first three, the three previous nights, it's not even close.
Yeah, somebody put the Temple of Napping at Doom or something like that. There was a meme out with a sleeping, and it just broke my heart. Don't make fun of him. He's like my favorite hero,
80-something years old now, so yeah, it's gonna be
all time. And it's like, I know. I watched a movie with him last night with my daughter. I'll get to that in a minute, though. That it?
That's it for what I've been up to.
What about yourself, Vix? What are you up to?
Not a whole lot since I got back from New York. I try to stick close to home. Don't know when I'm going to have to leave again. But Asher's motorcycle season is here, so we've been doing that. I did watch. Well, what was I watching? Brittany got me watch a chick flick called Adeline last night. It was on Netflix. It's a 2015 movie with Harrison Ford, and oh God, she's married to. Oh my God, I'm having a blonde moment. But anyway, it was like the equivalent of the female Whatever Happened to Benjamin Buttons kind of thing. But I really liked it. It was a cool little, chill movie, not with people dying and getting their heads ripped off. And it was new. Gotta pull back every once in a while, I guess. But I did watch Dungeons and Dragons with Asher, and we're both a little disappointed. There are dragons in Dungeons and Dragons, right? They had a fat, obese dragon was the king of the show. I mean, a fat, obese dragon who couldn't really chase them down because he was so fat and obese. But when you hear Dungeons and Dragons, it was okay. I'm really disappointed. But it wasn't what we thought. When you think Dungeons and Dragons, you're thinking like Reign of Fire Dungeons and Dragons, not cute little fat dragons that, poof out little things. I don't know. I was disappointed. I was expecting more. But other than that, still sticking to Miami Vice, watching that. I'm still like at the end of the third season. Everybody still dies around Crockett and Tubbs. There's just no hope for Crockett, especially. Where are you at in it, Joe?
Sean bought the box set a little while back, and we started going through them, but our schedules have just been complete opposites. So I don't know if he's continued on, but I haven't.
I forgot how good they were. They were I miss the 80s.
They're fun. They're goofy fun.
I just miss the 80s. Every time I see I miss the clothes. I could so relate to the clothes when I see all the clothes they got on and the friggin' poopy doos. And I mean, right down to Don Johnson's feathered hair, He's got all his feathered hair. I was watching him in an interview. He's like old. He's older than me anyway, so that makes him older than dirt, I guess. But he was talking about how all women still love him and he's the best piece of ass they ever had. That's what I thought. So well, he's still cocky. So other than that, not a whole lot. It's summer here. We're doing gardens and outside stuff. So we still watch the scary stuff, but when it's springtime in Texas, you take advantage of it because it's going to be 120 degrees soon. So I'm going to enjoy spring while it lasts. But then you all figure that out when you get here. But other than that, what about you, Keith?
I've been up to a lot, really. Just work and I'm up to date with all the editing finally. Yay!
You've been moving and shaking.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, not up to a lot, really. Just sorting out stuff and sorting out life, and just makes you want to zippity doo all the day and pollywada doodle,
That's
so
right.
It's just the way it is. So, but yeah, I can't complain. I mean, nothing hideous or anything like that.
No.
It's just dealing with life.
Life
And-
is good.
And speaking of life, that brings us to Sinister, which is a 2012 supernatural horror film directed by Scott Derrickson and written by Robert Cargill and Derrickson. It stars Ethan Hawke as a struggling true crime writer whose discovery of videos depicting grisly murders in his new house puts his family in danger. It stars Juliet Rylance, Fred Thompson, James Ransone, Clare Foley, and Michael Hall Daddario.
Daddario?
Yeah. Sinister was inspired by nightmare Cargill had after watching the 2002 film The Ring. Principal photography on Sinister begins in autumn of 2011 in Long Island, New York, with a production budget of $3 million. To add to the authenticity of old home movies and snuff films, the Super 8 segments were shot on actual Super 8 cameras and film stock. The film was the co-production between the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. It premiered at the SXSW Festival on March 10, 2012. It was released in the United Kingdom on October 5th, 2012, and in the United States on October 12th. Critics praised its acting, direction, cinematography, and atmosphere, but panned its use of jump scares and other horror cliches. It was a box office success, grossing $87.7 million against its budget of $3 million. It has developed a reputation for scariness and is considered a cult classic. A 2020 study by Broadband Choices named Sinister the scariest film ever made based on analysis of viewers' heart rates. A sequel was released in 2015. So what we're going to do is cut to the trailer of Sinister and be right back.
New details today in the grisly murders of a local family found earlier this week.
I didn't want to move here.
We couldn't afford to live in the old house anymore. Plus, the new story I'm writing is here.
Is the story a good one this time?
I'm gonna write the best book that anybody's ever read.
I got a really good feeling about this.
You gotta be kidding me. Family hanging out.
Barbecue 79.
That's the family who lived here.
You think these are serial murders?
I don't know. First one I found dates back to the 60s.
The only link between all these cases is the symbol.
The symbol is associated with a pagan deity named Bagul. He consumes the souls of human children.
I have never been onto something this big before.
Early Christians believed that Bagul actually lived in the images themselves and that they were gateways into his realm. Children exposed to the images were especially vulnerable to Bagul's abduction.
Sweetheart, what are you doing?
Painting. I wanted to paint her picture.
Who are you talking about?
Stephanie. She used to live here.
Trevor?
What's the matter? What's happened?
Get the kids. Pack the car. We have to leave here now.
Hello, welcome back to the Joyce Podcast. I'm discussing Sinister from 2012. So, Joe, what are your thoughts of Sinister?
Well, this is a movie I kind of slept on for a while because I just watched it for the first time earlier this year, and I was like, okay, it is very, very, very well made. As far as the scariest movie ever made, no, but
It's very visual, though.
it's very well. It's unnerving, and I started to realize that the reason it's unnerving is a lot because of the way Scott Derrickson shot it, which is to
But you're talking like the 8mm film?
No, I'm talking about like just his shot selection, even in scenes where there's just characters having a conversation, will be shot, where they're off to the side, but it's still, like a wide shot. So you got all this empty space over here. And when you're watching a horror movie,
you're looking at the empty space.
You're looking at the empty space and wondering what's going to happen, because we're primed that when we look at something, we want to look, we're primed to look in the center. So if
we're trained after years of watching this stuff.
Yeah. So when you set something off to the side, behind where the characters are, there's this long, never-ending dark hallway. You're going to be scaring the shit out of yourself because you're wondering what's going to be happening in that dark hallway. So it works in that regard. I enjoyed the mystery aspect of it. I liked, yesterday was my second viewing of it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a look and see if there's certain things that like I didn't catch before, and there isn't really anything on the second viewing that I didn't see before, but it's still very unnerving. And I like also that the films that he finds get more
cache of films in the attic.
Yeah, he doesn't watch them chronologically as like the order that the events took place, but he watches them in a way where like by the time it builds up to lawn work is just so intense that the second you see what the lawnmower is about to go over,
the lawnmower.
They don't need to show anything else, and it's horrifying. They just show Ethan Hawke cutting away, which is brilliant because nothing is gonna get you to, is gonna get you with that as much as your own imagination of what's going on. I mean, and it's clear what's going on, but you don't need to show the big gory mess of body parts flying everywhere.
They didn't really show too much gore, though. I mean, but I thought that the hanging of the family and the guy on the side where he's just cutting that with that long, what was it, a tree saw? I think it was.
Yeah, it was a saw, yeah.
The tree saw. That I thought it wasn't really gross, but it was really disturbing.
Yeah,
it was presented really well in a disturbing capacity as it was meant to be.
That's the thing that I felt about this movie, is that it starts to unnerve you at the very beginning, and then I feel like it actually works to continue to unnerve you.
I have to wonder about the character, though. What the fuck was wrong with him moving his family into that house?
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, all right, here in real life where ghosts don't actually exist, I'm with them. What does it matter? It means nothing.
Residual energy. That's all. That's what has
in the
residual energy. Ask your friends about it.
In the world of this movie, then yeah, you're an asshole. Why would you do this? In a world where ghosts exist, you don't move your family into a house where, a family was hung. In the real world, hey, whatever. It's cheap real estate. But
true.
Yeah, and your family.
I mean, just ask the Lutzes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they admitted that it was all bullshit.
Except the son, he was on a documentary. Just what was this like?
Yeah, I saw that.
You know what I'm talking about?
The grift. The grift never ends.
The grift. They never ending grift. They were smart about their grift, though. They made a lot of money on it.
Well, the kids are really messed up. So.
Well, yeah,
both of them were.
Well, which leads, I mean, if you talk to any ghost hunter worth their salt, but the Warrens were up there with God, and I never put them up there with God. I always thought the Warrens were a little sketch, but that's a tangent.
Walking around with the actual, the actual nail from Jesus' cross. I mean, come on.
I don't buy it.
The actual
I never
wood.
bought it.
Where the fuck did they get that from?
I don't know.
They didn't. They didn't. They're full of shit. They were full of shit.
A gift shop. A gift shop in Israel. So, I mean, I thought what was quite interesting about Sinister is that he wasn't as good at crime solving as possible.
No.
Well, I mean, the thing is, because if you think about it, okay, so he's got it all mapped out, right? And he knows that the families lived. So they would, the family would live in the house that, let's say, the original murder happened.
Right.
And they were fine while they lived in that house, but then when they moved, that's when the murder would happen to them, and then that's how it moved.
I'm trying to figure out though, were the was the box of pictures tied into something old, ancient, evil?
Well, yeah,
Well,
that's where
The
Vincent D'Onofrio
boogeyman
comes
or
from.
whatever he was.
yeah, Bagul.
Bagul, yeah.
But I mean, but the whole thing about this situation and the story and stuff like this is that he can pinpoint. It's like all the clues are there, and I think that we kind of put the clues together before he does.
Right.
But at the same time, he's supposed to be the professional crime writer, and it's like this is what he's doing, and this is why he's there to solve this crime, sort of thing. Like because
Right.
he's done 3 books based. They're doing this, and it's kind of like, and then when he finally moves his family away, and of course the ending happens, and you're kind of going, well, you should have seen that coming, really. Because he had to have the deputy tell him that, but he should have figured it out. So
yeah, that's the thing. Deputy so and so figures it out, not him.
Yeah. So, but saying that, I think this is one of the best Blumhouse horror films made.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree with that. I really enjoyed this movie.
I love both of them.
And I love how basically it doesn't cop out on the ending. There's no like easy solution or anything like that. They don't try, they don't get away and they're running away from the evil.
2015 sequel, I haven't seen it. Does it pick up where this leaves off?
Well, it follows Deputy so and so as he is now. Every time one of these murders takes place, he burns the house. He burns the house to the ground so that nobody can move into it. And when he goes to burn down the house of one of the murders, he finds that there's a woman who's escaping an abusive husband, and her kids are staying in that house right now because it's abandoned. So now, A, he can't destroy it. B, he can't let them leave. So it's
well, that sounds interesting. Okay.
It's not as interesting,
good as, but
it's not as good as this. No.
Well, that's usually the case.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would have much preferred a prequel, because the thing is, you find the only problem I have with this,
been all right.
Well, the only thing I have a problem with basically is that we find out what happens at 1968, and from 1968 onwards. But he kind of wonders, like, well, how did this family in 1968 get involved?
Yeah.
So it would be quite interesting to find out what did they go on holiday? Did they see a picture of Bagul or something like that? Because apparently it's through the pictures of Bagul. Because remember, they said they had to destroy all the ancient pagan deity pictures of him because they felt that it, basically it would invite the person in, and once they invited the person in, that there's no way they could be let go. So that's why the Super 88 film.
Well, they tied in that ever popular Moloch from the Old Testament, who's a total badass. So yeah, he was up against some pretty hard shit.
I think that if you're going to do a sequel, I think, and normally I don't really like an origin story, and I don't think we need an origin story, but it'd be quite interesting to find out how it got into modern day or 1968.
Well, I'd like to know what happened to that family, because you really still don't know what happened to that family, other than they went to fit. One of them went crazy, but they didn't seem like they were fighting. Kind of when they were getting high, it was just weird. It's creepy, weird.
But it's like,
the Baguls in either are children, so basically what's happening is like. And I guess all the noises and stuff must happen. I mean, I guess what we're seeing with Ethan Hawke, and once they discover the film,
right?
I imagine what happens, and all of a sudden you start, hearing the noises and hearing the sound, which would cause you to move to somewhere else, so that way the murders can take place, and then then the next family move in, and then they would, someone would probably discover the film.
This is cyclical then, so there's been other families, which would make it interesting to have a prequel other than a sequel. So I could kind of follow you.
Or like Keith said, a prequel of how it got to the United States, because an ancient Babylonian deity is what I think Vincent D'Onofrio pops in and says.
Moloch's from the land of Mo, who used to sacrifice children. But the other one is not a real deity. The one that begins with a B. Blah, 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 blah.
Bagul?
Yeah, he's not real, but it's kind of based on that kind of
it's based on the same concept.
World. But it'd be interesting to find out, like, how did a deity that's been dead for so many years all of a sudden comes back all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, my take is it's always been there, and like Keith said, how did it come to the United States from? It must have maybe a family stayed at a house where some murders took place, and that's why the trail in the United States only begins in like 1966 or 68, whatever it was. Yeah. So maybe they were on vacation somewhere. They stayed at a house where that was going on. And the people in that town are probably like, oh, thank God they took the Bagul with them.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I was reading about when they were filming this. I guess the child actors who played, I guess is Mr. Boogie, is it? His ghost, his little entourage. I guess the kids kept chattering to each other, and it was just creepy as fuck on set. But it said they had hilariously disturbing conversations with each other on set, and it was just fucking with everybody. These kids were, I guess, were funny as hell. So, I can see where that would happen, Mr. Boogie. So, is
that the origin of the name Mr. Boogie?
Yeah, Bagul. So they called him Mr. Boogie because
the kids are calling him Mr. Boogie. That's great.
Souls.
That's great.
Yeah.
But Mr. Boogie's also like the boogeyman, isn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, it's not a healthy correspondence with the undead, I'm sure.
Definitely not.
But I did also like the origin story. I thought they did a good job with that as well. It wasn't like one of these kind of hokey, like it's like sometimes you get a build up and then you hear like the origin story and you're like, really? like the movie Boogeyman or one of those films that was coming out in like the 90s, early 2000s when you got like all this kind of like, when they have to like
they
make up this
myth in with the Ring somehow. I'm trying to find that. I can't find it now.
Yeah, he started writing this because the Ring, he saw the Ring and it affected him.
Okay.
So he came up with this idea. It's like what would happen if you watch a picture or a movie or something like that.
He thought he was impressed about a box of spooky cursed movies. And he said the similarity there isn't coincidental. After watching The Ring, co-writer C. Robert Cargill had a dream about going into his attic and finding a bunch of films that had the same kind of grisly murder footage on them as the home movies that show up in Sinister. So, yeah. That's how he dreamt the beginning shot. So he's the one that was his dream. So...
Well, I guess this is kind of like the start of Ethan Hawke's working with Blumhouse.
Well, he played in that telephone. What was it? The Black Phone.
Black Phone, which is also Scott Derrickson.
That was an excellent movie.
Yeah, and he also did The Purge, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, which is also Blumhouse. Yeah, he's kind of become like
a Blumhouse kind of dude.
Well, he's kind of become the Vincent Price of Scott Derrickson. He's Vincent Price to Roger Corman.
He fits in so well Scott Derrickson. It, though.
Well, yeah, because he's a guy who's been known for great performances throughout the years, so he's got the gravitas to pull it off, and he gives the movie, a sense of importance that you wouldn't have if you had just, the regular horror star. You have a guy who was a mainstream award-winning, actor, well known for, great performances.
Well, he was up for an Oscar for Dead Poets Society and things like that.
Did he?
Yeah. So
did he get the Oscar?
I don't think
he didn't get it. He was nominated, but
that's such an excellent movie.
But he was always known as like, this great consummate actor. So you get someone like that in your movie who's also a legitimate movie star.
Right.
Well, he had fallen off a little bit before this, but now it seems he's coming back. He's coming back again. So I think definitely
didn't he go out with Uma Thurman for a while?
He might have. I don't know.
Probably did.
I know he's Julia Stiles. They did those movies together. That Richard Linklater films. And they Beyond Sunset. All those.
Julie Delpy, you mean?
Julie Delpy.
Yeah, that's your.
Yeah, before Sunrise.
I don't think they were involved in reality, but I know that those films always got, and every single film he did come out with was kind of like he always got great.
Shia LaBeouf just popped into my head out of nowhere. It's Shia LaBeouf. I don't know. I haven't thought about him in a long time.
And he's got nothing to do with anything today except that he was.
What happened to him?
He's the last Indiana Jones movie, the previous Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, I know. He was a good actor. Kind of sad, actually.
He had like a freak out and
He was doing weird artsy stuff.
Lost his marbles for a little while, and then kind of.
We all do, though. That should hold anybody accountable for it.
When you're as young as he was and becoming, a huge star, it's going to mess with your head. So
yeah.
I don't know how we got around to Shia LaBeouf, though.
I don't know. He just popped into my head when we were talking about Uma Thurman. I don't know why. I can't control my brain sometimes.
I never quite understood what was so great about him. I thought he was okay.
I love him in the Transformer movies.
I know, but it's not exactly like Oscar winning.
What?
He was okay.
I love that shit though.
No, I'm saying they were good. I'm saying they were good movies, but I have yet to see anything where it's like,
no, you'll never get Oscars.
I'm wowed by his acting prowess.
Right? No, you won't see that. You won't see that.
I've seen a couple films where he's like, where you can tell that he's kind of slid his dick into actresses. So when he's having sex scenes and stuff, he's known to do that. So, but
Nymphomaniac, I think.
Get it while you can.
Like that happened.
Yeah.
Get it while you can. There goes the Me Too movement again.
So, but I saw that. I think the other film I really saw him in that I kind of remember him is that takeoff of Rear Window, that Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, Disturbia.
Yeah.
Is that any good? It keeps coming up in my feed. I have not watched it yet.
It's okay.
Have you seen the Rear Window?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
You've seen it. You've seen it. Then you've seen Disturbia.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just an update.
Oh, is it? It's a newbie film. It's a new.
Early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Yeah, it's like 15.
I see it advertised. I just haven't gotten around to watch it. I've watched a lot of old stuff lately. So, but this one though, getting back to the film though, I thought it was visually disturbing, and it really was. Did you guys think there was a lot of gore? I didn't really see too much gore.
No
gore. I mean, not really. I mean, we get a lot of gore in the next movie.
Well, yeah,
but this one, no, this one I feel the gore was kind of tame.
But it was disturbing. That's what made it a good movie, though, because it was kind of bone chilling, and I liked it about this film. I like it when something gets me interested, and it's like, oh shit, what's going to happen now, kind of thing. So that's how I rated it. Well,
with ghost stories, I find that the ghost story is mostly as good as how intriguing the mystery is.
Right. Exactly.
Because if there really isn't much of a mystery, I tend to not like the ghost story as much. But this one I felt it was actually a really intriguing mystery. So
it's very intriguing.
The only bad thing I guess I could add to it, if I was complete devil's advocate, is that Ethan Hawke's character, he's not very likable.
No, he's an asshole.
That's what I'm saying. He's a total douche. He brought his family to a murder house. I mean, come on.
Well, if you don't believe that, but it's not just that, but it's just the whole fact that basically, he starts off as like a douche, and he ends as a douche. So there's no progression in his character, sort of thing. Because the thing is, he lied. I mean, the first thing that you see him is that they're moving boxes, and the first thing he does is he tells you that he's lied to his wife and he's lied to his family. And that's the first thing and then even afterwards, and when she finds out, he has a go at her, and he doesn't really accept responsibility.
Yeah, he tries to put it on her. He goes, "Well, you said you don't want to know." I'm like, "No, but you know what? This is the kind of thing that you should have told your wife."
Yeah. I think I would want my old man to tell me if somebody hung their whole family in my backyard. I just think that I'm on a need to know basis for something like that, and I would definitely need to know. So I guess that's how he wrote his stories, though, right? He would live near where it happened.
Yeah, she says, "You didn't move us 2 houses down from a murder house, did you?" And he says, "No."
No. Well, he didn't lie.
But, he didn't necessarily lie. He just omitted, "No, I moved you right into the murder house this time." Which, he is a bit of an asshole. We also find out via his interviews that he's a liar, via the videotaped interviews, where they're like, is it more important to sell the book, or is the sense of justice more important? And we realize that that's a lie when he says, no, it's good that we got the justice for it.
Do you think he was being punished for that statement? Do you think that the powers that be was punishing him at all?
I think it's curiosity killed the cat situation that we're living in. We're kind of living in that situation that, if he wasn't so curious about something, and he wasn't so hungry, chances are he probably never lived in the house anyway. So in a way, sad about the family, but he kind of gets what he deserves, really. Because he's the one that he's not someone who's like just moved into the house and find these kind of films like maybe like the other families previously, but he's kind of invited this in anyway, and the thing is like, and he kept going and he kept going and he kept going and he kept going, and the question basically is that maybe if he didn't keep going, if he wasn't so hungry for his own success and hoping that he'd get the bestseller, that he might not put his family in danger.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying. It's almost like he was getting punished for his greed,
Well, his family doesn't deserve what happened to them.
No,
they don't.
He opened this up. He brought this on himself. Well, then again, I'm not saying he deserved to be murdered. No. But it's hard to feel bad for, my mother used to say all the time, it's hard for me to feel sorry for those that seek death by their own hand.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Ethan Hawke
Wise
does.
words.
Ethan Hawke here, and like I was saying before, the interview where they ask about the whole the justice is more important. And now we're learning, no, it's not important to him. He doesn't give a shit. He just wants that next bestseller so that he can make that money. And we hear him tell his wife that, no, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's like, I don't care about the money. I care more about the safety of my family. Well, it's going to be worth it when we get all the money from this.
Yeah. He was so insistent on that. So insistent.
Well, he got a bunch of clout for something he wrote 25, this is 2012. So let's say 25 years prior in the 90s. And
he hasn't had a hit in a while.
Yeah. He could not let go of that clout.
Yeah, he's a one-hit wonder.
Which there's nothing wrong with. You had a hit, you had your 15 minutes, and his wife even asks him, what if that was your 15 minutes?
But they say success is a hungry creature that needs to be fed anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. I mean, it's gotta be hard for people that do so well, then all of a sudden they have a real passion.
I mean, ask one-hit wonders. Ask right, said Fred. There's a whole list of one-hit wonders, or people. Harper Lee only wrote one book.
That's true.
But luckily, I mean that was able to carry her all the way through. But let's face it, there's a lot of people that will hit like a huge, write a huge book, and then that's it. Or they could go their whole career without selling another book. And the simple fact is that book could be famous, and people might read it for a year, but after that it might not even sell again.
Yeah,
because it might a bit like the Da Vinci Code. I mean, you made a lot of money off Da Vinci Code, but I doubt if anybody's reading those books now, sort of thing. But he was lucky enough that they made a film out of it, so it probably kept it going a bit longer than it probably should have. But
exactly, Dan Brown lucked out.
Apparently,
especially if you read the book, it's not very well written.
I guess they had one scene. I guess it was a particular 8mm film scene of the family death that didn't make the cut because it was so bad. I've got to find it. But they said it was the family at Christmas time. It was out in the woods. It was freezing. They said the scene was cut for financial reasons, but Derrickson and Cargill were okay with that. But they said it was a grimmer and a bit more dark and grisly and frightening than the other, but we didn't get to see that.
I wonder if
too dark for the movie. How is something too dark for a movie named Sinister? But
I wonder if it's on the DVD that I watched. I'm gonna have to go back and look. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know.
It's too dark.
DVDs seem to be bare bones now, so I don't know.
I've noticed.
On that.
They're getting real cheap on
it used to be 15 years ago. Here's this classic movie. Here's
stickers, pull out, centerfold.
Yeah. Then when you get to the disc, so here's a 25-minute documentary hosted by Martin Scorsese talking to all these film historians, and then here's the trailers, and we're gonna add a Bugs Bunny cartoon and all this stuff, so you can get the full theatrical experience of what it was like back then. Price $14.99.
Yeah.
Nowadays, $32.99. You got the movie. Fuck you.
Yeah.
What else? What else you want? You're lucky you're getting the movie.
Yeah. Exactly. It's so disappointing. I mean, the only goodies bad. I mean, I bought that movie Necromantic. That was the only one that gave me goodies was Necromantic. I got postcards of the dead dude and everything.
We
don't get shit from anything else.
We see stuff like that now, but they're major special editions that are like $50.
Yeah.
Mm.
But they were just back in the day.
But I wonder. I'll go look at the DVD later and see if
that's what it says.
see if
I think
that's in there.
I found that on the IMDb website.
But yeah, this started out Derrickson and Cargill as kind of a team because they were the team. Cargill wrote the screenplay for Black Phone based on Joe Hill's story, so they've been working together quite a bit.
Good movie.
And Derrickson blew up after this. Derrickson went on to direct Doctor Strange in the Marvel universe. So he I don't know if this is the movie that
was painful to watch, and I love the Marvel universe. But
which
Doctor Strange.
There's two of them. He directed
the last one.
He directed the first one. Sam Raimi from Evil Dead directed the last one.
Well, I love Sam Raimi too. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're just making too many movies. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. They're glutting the market. I don't know.
That's a big problem with them right now.
So before we move to the next film, how many stars would you rate We Are Sinister? Sorry. So Vicky, how many stars did you give Sinister?
I'll give it a good 4.5 because I wasn't hiding under my bed, but it was very intense and I like that scary shit. And Joe's right; it has a really good mystery to it, so you got to give it credits for that. But it's very disturbing. Some of it is anyway.
Mm. And what about yourself, Joe?
Vicky and I are, on exactly the same page because I was going to say 4.5 as well. I think it's I think it's an engaging story.
Very.
I think it's very, very suspenseful. I like the mystery to it. I'm not a big fan of jump scares, so that's maybe I'll knock off half a star as well as the length.
Was there a jump scare? I didn't get jump scared.
Well, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
A lot of times
kid coming out of the
I'm
box
a desensitized movie watcher. So desensitized.
But it's not. I just don't find jump scares really, really scary is the thing. But
they're fun once in a while.
They can be fun, and at least it's not a cat. At least it's not like it's a cat coming out of the closet, and that's what the jump scare caused, or that's what caused the jump scare. Those are just egregious, and I hate those with a passion. Here, at least they were used because they would pop up with something that's actually legitimately creepy looking. So yeah, overall, I like it. I think it's one of the better horror films of the last decade or so.
Pretty good.
I really like this one.
I'm gonna give it probably a 4.5. Really like it. I like the atmosphere of it. It keeps me going. I think the soundtrack works very well with it as well. So it's not one of those overpowering soundtracks. You only get like the music basically during the 8mm film sequences. So I thought that was quite impressive. Some of the jump scares were a bit. Yeah, I think if he did it without the jump scares, I think it probably would have made it a bit more effective, so a bit more haunting, and it would probably have stayed in your back of your consciousness a bit more. And our silent watcher Ferris gives it a 3.5. So there we go.
And Sean watched it yesterday with me. He's got to work tonight, and so he's not joining us. But he's I think he said it was a 3, and he said he enjoyed the manhunter aspect of it, of kind of the looking at the forensics of a crime and kind of tracing that. But he didn't. He wasn't a fan of the jump.
I see his post on Facebook. Go, damn, that kid's tough.
I think it could have gone up to 5 if they didn't cheapen it with the jump scary part of it, sort of thing. They could have been a bit more clever on that side of it, but it's almost like this is what people expect in a horror film, so we need to add it, and so they kind of felt forced in there because they figured we need to have this.
Yeah, I feel like you and I are on the same page on that. I feel like if it wasn't for the jump scares, I probably would have given it a 5.
Yeah,
I just don't even remember the jump scares, so they must not have been really good.
Well, the kid in the box.
Well, yeah. I still didn't really jump. Quickly.
Well, this brings us to We Are Still Here, which is a 2015 American horror film written and directed by Ted Geoghegan. I'm sure I mispronounced your name there, Ted. Sorry about that. And starring Andrew Sensenig and Barbara Crampton. As grieving parents who find themselves the focus of an attack by a vengeful spirit. The film had its world premiere on the 15th of March, 2015 at South by Southwest, and it was filmed around Rochester, New York. So what we're going to do is cut to We Are Still Here, and be right back.
I know you think it's silly, but I really can feel something here, Paul.
So what are we going to do about it?
What if Jacob and May came up for the weekend? She told me once that people pay her to do seances.
This house has an energy all its own. We don't need to find the darkness here, Paul. It's everywhere.
You're not leaving here. You stay, you satisfy the darkness. Every 30 years or so, the goddamn place just wakes up! And it demands new blood!
Hello, welcome back to Juliet Rylance Podcast. We're discussing We Are Still Here from 2015. Starting with you, Vicky. What are your thoughts of We Are Still Here?
Well, I love Barbara Crampton. I just loved this movie. I did. I mean, this movie, it was scary. It was mysterious. I mean, you know, you had the grieving mom thing, and she's just fantastic in it. I just love that woman. She's timeless, and she just does good at anything she does. I just love her as like the original horror queen, as far as I'm concerned, in a lot of things. But I really enjoyed how the movie progressed, and it just everybody's just went to shit so quick. But what I was trying to figure out, I mean, you have the townspeople, and it's just like, I guess the house needs its pound of flesh or a new family. Was it every 30 years?
Every 30 years, yeah.
But did you notice, and I had to look this up, make sure I wasn't losing it, but what was his name? It was the Dagmar. He was talking about the Dagmar family, the Dave guy, and he was telling how they saying the first owners used to sell corpses to the university in Essex County.
Yeah.
And that was a reference to an author of H.P. Lovecraft's fictional Miskatonic University, which was located there. And I thought that was a cute little nod. And it was set in the 70s. And I noticed this too, and I had to look it up, because if it was set in the 70s, there was also, while at the scene where Harry and Daniela were driving to the home to meet their parents, there was a 2000 model pickup truck. So I'm really anal.
Yeah, I never, if I hadn't read that it was set in the 70s, I would never have known by what was shown on screen that it was set in the 70s.
Well, the cars, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like primitive New York, but I didn't know that it was in Rochester where they filmed it. So that's just like, oh, I understand all that depressing scenery now.
Primitive New York or modern day upstate New York.
Definitely, having just come from northern New York. But I thought it was a great film. I liked it. There was just not too much about it I didn't like. I like the scary people. Did they burn them alive?
Yeah.
That's what happened. Did they burn the house, or did they burn the family elsewhere?
Well,
because they showed up there somehow.
No, what they did was they built this family. The town built this house for this family so they could sacrifice the family in the house.
Yeah.
So, and that's what the whole curse is about, sort of thing. And then every 30 years they have to sell it to a family. And then I guess the Dagmar family, ghost would pretty much like consume the next family that were there.
Right.
But I guess what we have this time, because they're grieving parents, and I think they understand because they're feeling the loss of their own child.
Right.
I think the Dagmar family kind of like feed into that, and so when the townspeople come, they're kind of supporting.
Well, if you notice the end, the ghosts or whatever they are, they're holding hands and they're looking at them. But in the end, they walk in the cellar anyway.
Well, the other issue with them being, maybe understanding the plight of Barbara Crampton's family is they kill Larry Fessenden and Lisa Marie's kid. They don't have any qualms over that.
They didn't give a shit about that at all.
But they were. I mean, the thing is, but he does say Dagmar, because you have to remember when Dagmar in the 1850s, what he sits there and says that they were sinning in his house. They were following his house. And the thing is you got to remember the morals are going to be totally different from the time period this takes place than from what they were in the 1850s. So when you got this unmarried couple, doing starting to play around or starting to fool around like that, I mean, I guess the Dagmar family would find that as a sinful plight inside his house.
Well, I loved it when they started fucking up the townspeople, because if anybody deserved to get murdered, it was all of them. Why didn't they want to kill them in the beginning? That dead family.
I felt in the end that's probably. I think they were satiated by killing the ringleader of the pitchfork mob, the metaphorical pitchfork mob. I feel like. I don't know. Did you get a sense that like maybe the curse is over now? I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. And then the end, they just end up walking to the thing. But then again, I guess they want to be with their dead boy so much they're just going to stay in the house. I mean,
I kind of figured that there's an understanding now. There's a, that maybe, because the thing is, I think that when the families are being killed in the house, how I interpret it is that then once the townspeople come to the house, now that the Dagmars have got retribution on the town by killing almost everyone in this town, right, then pretty much probably closes the curse anyway, because it's kind of like now, because they've murdered the people who were against them. It's kind of like going, taking revenge, like in Blood Harvest or anything like that, against the town that comes after you, and then you kill, and then you go after the town, you start murdering the town, then it kind of evens the score a little bit normally. Or what we could assume is that Barbara Crampton and her husband's character go down to the basement and they join Bobby in the spirit world.
Yeah.
Because
what I was wondering.
Which is, I think it's, which I think is quite clever that they kind of leave that up to an interpretation of the watcher. And I think that's what I like about this movie a lot is that basically it's a very subtle film into the end. So you kind of subtle and it's kind of, it's kind of building, but you're never quite sure what's going on. And then you think it's this kind of movie. And then
right.
Switches. And then you think, and then when the townspeople come in, he's like, well, this is not what I expected at all. And that's what I quite like about this director's films anyway. He also did a movie in upstate New York around Syracuse Watertown Lake called Mohawk, which is a very good film. And even when he did ABC of Death 2, there's a feature that he's in there, and he has a very interesting way of filming and the way of doing it. And I like the way that he just lets everything kind of sit there. And you kind of let scenes breathe, and
right.
kind of he doesn't fill it up with a lot of useless motion or anything like that until when he has to, and then when it takes off, and then we get a little bit of that. But we kind of get we get the grieving parents, we get the mystery, and we're kind of he has this habit of drawing you in and sucking you into this.
Mm-hmm. It was very atmospheric, don't you think? It's the only word I can come up with. It had atmosphere. That house was the star of the show, basically, with the ghosts. But
I don't know that I'd agree with that, because the house itself seems kind of bland to me.
Rochester.
I think the ghosts certainly are impressive looking. I like the way they look in this.
I loved the ghosts. They were very intimidating looking.
Very creepy looking.
The smoking charcoal aspect of it all. Very Joan of Arc. I loved it.
Yeah, I think they lend a lot more to it than the house itself, because this is a movie that I feel like could have used a set designer. You know, like somebody to come in and like dress the set and make everything look more interesting.
It was a boring house, but I mean, it was just alive.
That's what. But the thing is, I think, and this might be, you know, showing my age here, but I like the way the house was, because for me, that's the way houses are. That's the way they were
for me too.
And so for me, it's just like looking at where I grew up. It's kind of like, I mean,
well, it's Rochester. How many houses we drive out of Route 3 see the same thing? You know,
well, how many houses in Jefferson County are the same thing, sort of thing, and the houses were decorated like that. They weren't, you know. I mean, if you look, you know, I told Ferris, I go, it looks like my aunt's house.
Yeah, it could be anybody's house.
And that's what I quite liked about it, because it kind of, for me, it gave me a reality. So it wasn't one of these normally the American movies where you kind of had this poor family living in this well-decorated house with all these like modern conveniences, and you're thinking, well, how the hell are they affording this? Or like like the Friends, like the TV show Friends, when they're all living in those flats, and like, how the hell are they affording this? None of them fucking work. But you know, so and you know, to me, this looks more like Roseanne Connor's house, which is basically most of what America looks like.
If it was 1970,
that's what I quite liked.
That house was probably $400 to $500 a month to rent. With all that property, even cheaper probably.
Well, I mean, and I guess for me, it's just kind of like, and then the thing is, they moved to this house, and it's kind of like, and so therefore the furniture is all going to be old and everything like that as well. So it's not like, I don't think they brought their own stuff there. It didn't seem like
it was furnished.
Because,
it could appear to be furnished.
Well, when it opens, they're driving there, and it's almost like it sounds like they just moved in, but everything's kind of where it is. You know, the wood stove. I just loved how they made Barbara
Crampton look like an average woman, because let's face it, she's beautiful and above average in the looks department.
Oh, and yeah.
They actually made her look tired and older, and I just love how she seizes her roles. You know, no matter what it is.
Well, I think she might actually be older than what her part is supposed to be in this movie anyway. It's just
she's 63 now. So.
Yeah, it's just that she's so stunningly beautiful still to this day that you know, for you know, she could play a 45-year-old and no one would bat an eye.
Easy.
I love seeing Lisa Marie, because to be honest, it's very rare that you see her outside of the Tim Burton universe.
Well, yeah, since she broke up with Tim Burton, I haven't seen her in anything.
Yeah,
and I thought, isn't she?
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you look at the roles that she did, you know, Johnny Depp's mother and Sleepy Hollow, Mars Attack, the really skinny waisted one, and she's walking around as the.
I forgot about Mars Attacks. Oh my god.
And a couple other things. And Vampire and Wood. So it was good to actually see her just act and just be herself. Right. And I thought she did a really good job. And I thought all the and even like the guy who plays her husband, I can't think of his name.
Larry Fessenden.
That was who it was. I could not figure, and I've seen him in other movies, and I've seen him he's been on Joe Bob and a couple others. So it
was like watching, but it felt like watching Jack Nicholson in 1970s.
Almost.
I was going to say he turned into Jack Nicholson for somehow. The thing that grabs me about the couples is the women are both so incredibly attractive.
And then look at their husbands.
And then you look at their husbands and they're so schlubby. And it's like, wait,
but you know what? I've got to tell you, and I was talking to my daughter about this. It's really trendy not to go out with guys that are Greek as in God anymore, because they're nothing but trouble. And, you know, everybody's liking that dad bod thing. I'm serious. All these chicks are dating guys with dad bods. I'm telling you, if you got a weird dad bod guy in like Flint in North Texas. But I think it's great though. They had regular. I mean, come on, because not everybody is stunningly beautiful, drop dead.
Yeah, but Lisa Marie and Barbara Crampton are not exactly indicative of the average woman.
They're not average women, but their roles were average in the movie.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when have you ever seen Barbara Crampton look like that? She looked just like a grieving older mom in that. She didn't really have a whole lot of makeup on. That, let's face it. When she cleans up, what was that last movie she made? She was a vampire in it.
Jacob's Wife.
What was it?
Jacob's Wife.
Oh my God, I love that movie. But she is just gorgeous in that. I mean, that was like a year ago.
And she got her breast out in that, and she's 60 some odd years old.
That's the one part of a woman's body that doesn't go really to shit quick is the boobs. I'm telling you, because they are not out in the sun constantly. So the skin kind of stays pretty good. And I have to say, although I'm not gay, her boobs were rather impressive in that movie for her age, I have to say. She's just gorgeous. I mean, she's just, I can't help it. She just is. But when she attacks her roles, whether it's an attractive role or not, that's why I like her so much, because she really does put a lot into it. My biggest respect for her coming and Reanimator when she was naked on that table with the head coming down the thing. I just realized that she was like one of my favorite people right then. Remember in the head? And she's like on the table. I mean, who does that in the 80s,
Stuart Gordon.
Yeah.
Who does that?
But I mean, I guess another thing is it's quite funny because when we were watching it, Ferris goes to me. He goes, God, this is like going back home to my hometown. And he goes to me, he goes, "What? So when we go into a place, everyone just turn around and stare." And I said, "Yeah, no,
oh,
they
absolutely.
do. It's like,
you're gonna get stared at like a big dog.
In a small town like that, yeah.
You do. So
well, they all had an agenda though, so they were already creepy, weird people anyway.
Yeah, I guess what I quite like about the whole thing is I quite like the story and I like the build up and I like that it keeps layering and I like the old school feel about it as well. There's this old school kind of feel about it.
I do think killing the waitress when she answers the door is kind of pointless.
Little much.
Like, what did this girl do?
She answered the door. Sometimes that's
the thing is, yeah, but see, I don't know if she killed her because
I think she got killed.
No, because the thing is, when the townspeople come in, she's one of the people that comes in through the front door after they shoot Lisa Marie in the head.
The bartender, but not the
the bartender, but the young girl there, because she has the same outfit on. So I'm thinking to myself, it's like, yeah, I rewatched it, and I was like,
maybe I didn't. Catch her.
I guess I
don't know. So, but
maybe he fires a warning shot in the air. Then I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, you don't see it because it happens off camera.
I thought she was dead.
Yeah,
you don't know because it happens off camera.
But then maybe they brought her in as an extra or something. It's maybe to be filmed that close because you did get a close up as she's coming through the front door. I was like, oh, I thought she was dead.
A cast of thousands.
Cast of dozens.
A cast of dozens. Yeah.
But I guess I guess another interesting thing I like is that during the closing credits, that's kind of when you start getting the story about what's been going on in this town every 30 years.
Yeah, with all the newspaper clippings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it does seem it's sort of like Jeepers Creepers. What is it? 27 to 30 years. I guess it's a generational thing that comes back to, get your next generation. So there's always, stuff to use.
Well, I mean, most curses happen on a revolving
unless
door
you watched the last
sort of
Jeepers Creepers Reborn, in which case you were in a bathtub slicing.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Santa Maria religion anyway, what they used to do is every 30 years they would have to pick a female to salve them into their fields, and that went on for centuries and stuff like that. And if you look at a lot of pagan things, they did them yearly or every 15 or every 30. They seem to go
the bog people, all ritualistic killing for this and that.
Yeah, because and that puts the curse away for a time period, and then better do it again because it's going to happen again. We're going to be without water, and our crops are going to stale. Or
human beings are such a naive species.
Well, I'm
We're so stupid. We really are.
I just don't understand why these rituals have died. I mean, I think we probably should bring them back.
I got a garden growing. I need a bumper crop of tomatoes this year.
We might be able to save the environment. You never know.
Maybe, yeah. But just all I got to do is fly to Davos with my big 2,000-liter jet. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess what we should do is probably rate this. So starting with you, Vix, how many stars would you rate this?
I'm giving it a 5 because I loved everything about this movie. I love Barbara Crampton, and I just liked how the story evolved, and I just was really happy when all the townspeople met with a very grisly end. So that gave me a lot of happiness. So yeah, I give it a 5.
And what about yourself, Joe?
3.5. I liked it enough
to keep watching,
to keep watching, but I didn't get as invested in the mystery aspect of it. I think because they lay out so much of it at the beginning,
right?
That I kind of felt, felt like, well, I already kind of know the background. Like I said earlier, to me, that what makes a haunted house movie work for me is uncovering the pieces that eventually give you the whole story. And this
did you think they did that with the cellar and just the shit that was going on? Or
I mean, well, there was the suspense there, but I mean, as soon as the young couple, the son of Lisa Marie and Larry Fessenden shows up, they get killed right away.
Yeah, they didn't really they had a drink and then they were dead.
Yeah, so I kind of felt like there were points where it was anticlimactic, but I had no.
Yeah, I guess there's truth to that.
But overall, I really like it. It's
right.
I love how creepy the ghosts look. I like that. One thing that I feel is lacking in a lot of ghost stories is sometimes, not that it always needs to happen, but I feel like a lot of times there aren't enough actual kills, and here we actually get the ghosts actually killing people.
Yeah,
so I do enjoy that when that's done correctly, which I feel like it was for the most part here. Then I really like it. I could have used for the pieces of what's going on to be kind of put out throughout the movie instead of just the neighbor showing up and telling them everything right at the beginning. That's my only drawback to this.
I'm going to give it a solid 5. I don't know what it is about this movie, or this movie just grabs me, and I've seen this movie so many times that and whenever anyone comes over, I always show it to them, and it's just one of those movies that, and I think it's because I do have a bit of a hard on for independent horror that always appears on Shudder. So it's one of those Shudder movies. So I think that might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's but what I quite also like about it, I think, is the acting, and I quite like that kind of 70s vibe, real.
Well, she was so good at playing the grieving mother, and that kind of got me in the heart.
And I like that, and I like that feeling of the grief that kind of flows through her character, which kind of grabs me in. That kind of sucked me in. So that's probably the reason why I would give it a 5. And I have watched this film quite a lot more than, let's say, Sinister. I've seen Sinister 2 or 3 times.
In rewatchability, this is a lot more rewatchable than Sinister, because this is the kind of movie where it's like you could have a couple friends over, you could have a couple of drinks.
Is there a sequel to this? Was there a sequel?
No.
There's no sequel.
I don't believe so. This is the kind of movie where you could, like he said, you can invite people over and watch it. Sinister, you kind of need to have, you have to have the lights out. You have to,
it would be a good pairing with The Purge.
Which I'm actually going to watch tonight. I've never seen it.
You've not seen The Purge? Oh my God.
So I'm going to be watching it tonight, actually.
I only love the first one.
I'll watch all of them over the course of the next few weeks, because I got a box
the last one. I have no fucking clue what they were doing in that last one. But
let's end that conversation here, because I'll watch them.
I'm not gonna say a word. I want to hear.
I found I got the box set.
I love
cheap.
the first one.
I got the box set really cheap with all of them, so I was like, all right, what
I love the
give me a
first
chance
one.
to see them.
Love it.
On that note, that brings us to the end of the Literary License Podcast. Next month, our M&M, Monsters and Madmen, will be Your Next and The Guest, which are 2 films directed and written by Adam Wingard. And of course, we'll be continuing our book to screen with The Talented Mr. Ripley, which is written by Patricia Highsmith, and the film from 1999. And Doctor Who will be continuing with The Planet of the Giants, which aired from the 31st of October to the 14th of November, 1964. And Batman, the animated series, which we'll be covering this episode, The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, Heart of Steel Part 1 and Part 2, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? And of course, our remake will be Halloween from 1978 and the remake by Rob Zombie from 2007.
I can't wait for this one.
There's going to be a lot of differences in opinions on this one. So it's good night for myself. Good night, Vix.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Joe. Good night. And we'll see you next week for Books and Screen, The Towns of Mr. Ripley.